I guess it really is the Scale Bashers Guild now. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's a first look and review, I haven't gotten it outside yet, of the new Kyosho Toyota Tacoma KB10L Basher. And this is a basher. It's a fast truck. Looks very scale. Kyosho did an excellent job on this Lexan body. Lots of hard plastic parts. Lots of hard plastic parts, including the grille, these fog lamp areas, lower bumper valance, rear view mirrors. There's even an antenna on the roof. Really nice recessed light buckets, bumpers. Like, they really went all out on the details. It is, in their eyes, where does it say it here? Ultra scale body, and I would not disagree. However, it is a bit wider than a regular Tacoma, and there is no drop bed. This is definitely like a tonneau cover, and that was how it was intended. It looks really good, despite that extra width and flared out fenders. It's got a really nice look, and of course my camera here, this is a wide angle lens, so it is accentuating some of that width, but overall this thing looks fantastic. This is Toyota's Electric Lime, which is an actual color. And they also come in Lunar Rock, which is more of a gray, flat gray color. This Electric Lime has a lot of metallic flake in it, and it looks really good. You will note that despite it being a basher, there are no visible body clips. They didn't ruin the body with any body clips. There are a couple of M3 screws there, but that's to help with the whole body mounting management system. Underneath, and I don't want to take this beautiful body off because it does look really good, but we should get to the meat of this review, and that's what's underneath this body. So let's get the body off. Of course, being an ultra scale body, the body clips are on the bottom of the chassis. There are two right here, and then there are another two in the rear, and that's how they keep the body nice and clean and not ruined with any body clips. That said, the way that this body mounts to this chassis is one thing that I would probably pause on, and we'll get to it later, but it's maybe not the most robust way of mounting a body. We'll find out, because we are going to drive this truck, obviously, but it's really more important that I give you the lowdown on this chassis, because it is all new. There's not a lot of carryover here from any other Kyosho vehicle, and I think it's a pretty unique looking chassis. It definitely looks like it's going to be a chassis that they're going to use in a lot of other ways, and I think that's something that you should keep in mind during this entire review. And there you go. That's the new KB10, and this is the L, which means long wheelbase. It is a 13.4 inch wheelbase chassis, and you can see there are still body posts here with some nice big foam portions here, and the body rests on these but attaches at the outermost points at the front and the rear of the chassis. It's a pretty traditional layout. As you can see here, not a lot of surprises. Battery mounting on this side, motor in the rear, servo for steering up front. That is a 9 kilogram servo. There is a nice big plastic rigidity bar or torsion reducer or flex reducing kind of bar that they've added to the chassis. Sort of like the aluminum tubes that both Traxxas and Arrma put into their bashers to help keep everything rigid. Kyosho went for a modular plastic system, and this actually does look pretty good and does not offer any flex. It is a very, very rigid chassis, which I very much like to see. What else can I tell you? 2850 kV brushless 4-pole motor, so it is going to have a nice smooth startup. 80 amp waterproof brushless ESC. This is not a censored motor. On this type of chassis, you're not really looking for censored, you're looking for sensorless, and that's what it's got. You can easily adjust both toe and camber, front and rear. All of the parts that make up the suspension geometry up front are transferable to the rear, so it's a lot less parts to worry about. If you bust one, chances are you'll be able to find a arm if you need one. Pun intended. Waterproof sealed receiver box. The radio that is included is Their Synchro KT231P. This has been on pretty much every Kyosho RTR that I can remember in recent memory. It's a good radio. It's a little difficult to drive one-handed. It does require a longer thumb, but it's a good radio. I like the angled wheel. You can see it's not straight, it's sort of angled. Nice padding on there too, and has all of the adjustments you would expect on a RTR radio in an analog format. It does not include batteries, but it will run on 4AA's for the transmitter and 3S capable on the chassis itself. I will say that metal geared servo is very smooth. Hardly makes any noise at all. It is a nice strong servo, and I think it's going to hold up to a fair bit of abuse, as this truck is intended to be abused. Instead of dog bone style drive shafts, it is using a telescoping plastic drive shaft, very similar to what a Traxxas truck might have. They've got that there. And like I said, full adjustability on your toe and camber if you need to make some adjustments. Now, the cool thing about this chassis, and I'm sure you're seeing it already, is that there are modular pieces. You can see that you can actually remove a whole section here and shorten this chassis significantly. You would need a different aluminum plate along the bottom, but it does mean that there will be other cars on this platform going forward. And I believe that Kyosho is going to treat this as sort of their next bashing platform. And what I really like to see is that kind of innovation and that kind of forward thinking that's going to make sure that this has got a lot more versatility than just one chassis that kind of gets adopted into a lot of different ways. One sort of downside, I know it is an RTR and there will probably be upgrades for it later, but these are plastic bodied shocks, plastic caps, are obviously they're oil-filled shocks and have been tuned to this specific chassis, but it would have been nice to see aluminum caps at the very least. What else can I tell you? Center diff that uses parts from the Kyosho Inferno line of 8th scale buggies, so you know it's going to be nice and robust, and there will be a reasonable amount of parts available in case you were to break something. So center diff and then front and rear diffs, those are beveled gears in the front and rear diffs. Should be a pretty robust setup, and it's very simple but very nicely designed. There's nothing that seems out of place, and it does seem like it's got a lot of potential. Now, in terms of potential, now we've got these 2.2, 3.0 style short course style wheel and tire combos. It's a fairly firm rubber on these tires, definitely meant as an RTR tire for maximum grip and maximum longevity. I'd like to maybe see how another tire might work on this chassis, just to give it just to put it through its paces. Obviously there's going to be a 12 mil hex behind these wheels and tires. Be so embarrassing if it wasn't. Yep, that's a 12 mil hex. Okay, good. But as you can see, nice strong plastic parts here, lots of rigidity, and I think that's going to handle a fair bit of abuse. It looks like a really nice strong setup, and it does keep everything pretty clean. It's not a pillow ball setup by any means, like on some of the larger scale Arma things, but it definitely looks like it's got some strength and nice aluminum standoffs here built into this whole setup, so it looks like it's going to handle a fair bit of abuse. One thing you don't often see on this style of truck is a graduated or angled diffs. They've actually got the diffs lower on the chassis than just where the flat plate would sit, so these actually do have a lower center of gravity, keeping that rotating mass lower on the whole chassis, but does offer a nice bit of ground clearance, enough to get a Josh-sized hand under there. I don't think that they're intending this to be sort of a jumping basher. It's definitely going to be more in sort of the slash kind of range in terms of the type of performance that I think you're going to find from it. But it just has a more like, I don't know, engineered, and I like seeing the aluminum chassis in there. I think that's a nice piece, but it definitely looks like it had strength built into it. They were intending this to be driven hard, and I'm not going to pull any punches in that regard when I get it out. This body just looks so tremendously amazing that it really does need to get driven outside and have a nice cinematic style running video to go with it. Where are the holes? If I had a nickel for every time I've said that. Because it is a basher, of course, it's not perfectly scale accurate, and no Tacoma would have front and rear independent suspension, but it is meant to be a basher, so you have to forgive some of those scale elements, and remember that they did give us this really nice looking body. So you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. A joke that will only resonate with people over the age of 40. So there you go. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, by all means, put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to get Rebecca to answer as many of them as I can. And of course, if you like this video and you like seeing new things on this channel, do the things. The one thing I did want to talk about in terms of versatility, because this new KB10 chassis has multiple wheelbases in mind, I can only hope that we're going to see some other bodies for this. What I would love to see, honestly, is another rally car. Kyosho did, in my opinion, one of the best rally cars of the last decade with the DRX. Yeah, it was the DRX VE. That thing absolutely ripped. I loved it. Me and Headquake both had one. We used to run them on his track. They were awesome. I loved that car so much. Of course, discontinued now, can't get them. This could be the new platform, and I think Rally is ripe for a comeback. If you agree, hit the like button. If you disagree, hit the disagree button. I don't know where that is, but if you can find it, hit it. For your reference, I was able to fit a 4500 milliamp hour 3S LiPo pack into the existing battery tray. This is a hard case LiPo. I would recommend hard case LiPos. And in fact, you could even probably get a bit more width. So maybe run like a 5,000, 6,000 maybe, depending on the size of the pack. Dimensions for the battery tray are probably in the instruction manual, which of course you do get a full manual. Pretty thick manual actually, and then a bunch of spare parts to help you adjust your suspension. And hey, a wheel wrench. All right. That's got some speed. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. After adjusting my endpoints and dual rate, I've got a nice amount of steering and reasonably fast servo too. Okay, I've wasted enough of your time on the bench. Let's go outside.
This won't take long. I'm flying in fast and I'm coming on strong. I'm about to ignite, powder keg bite with the whole world spinning. I ain't playing no game. I put the fuel to the flame. I'm totally untamed. I'm totally untamed. It's time to get loose and break the chain. It's time to get loose. Let go of the reins. It's time to get
All right, here we are with the Kyosho Toyota Tacoma KBL10L. And this thing is proving to be a very robust truck. I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting a ton. Those body mounts had me worried. But so far, it's taking quite a beating. It's a really interesting truck. It is definitely, like, it is 100% a basher. There is no doubt about it. And it is built for speed. One thing I'm noticing is oh boy, train. One thing I'm noticing is trains. No, let's let that go by first. First things first, not as much traction roll as I was expecting. Four-wheel drive, hard compound tires, not a super long wheelbase, but a long enough wheelbase. But it's pretty darn good. When it gets a lot of grip, obviously it wants to roll, but you know, it'll move around pretty well on the dirt. It's pretty responsive. And of course, I'm driving one-handed, which is always a big challenge. But yeah, it's doing pretty well, and it's holding up too. I've managed to, with my driving capabilities, I've managed to hit a number of obstacles, jumps incorrectly, no curbs out here. Well, I mean, there's that, but I haven't hit that yet. No curbs to speak of, but it's certainly holding up. I thought those body mounts were going to be the first thing to go, but it's holding on. There is a bit of rattle, I'm not going to lie, and that's just quite natural with body clips and a Lexan body on a modified post hidden setup. I'm finding it a little bit difficult to center the servo. A lot of wheel speed. It is very torquey and very quick. Not a ton of grip because, like I said, these tires are quite hard in terms of their compound, as you can see. But that speed, combined with the torque, combined with its shortish wheelbase, 13.4 inches, it's able to do a lot of good quality bashing. It does take a bit of time to cycle into reverse. I'm going to see if there's something I can do in the settings to fix that. I haven't noticed any gear skipping. Usually with a fast vehicle like this, it does want to skip some teeth in the diffs, but it's been pretty quiet so far. It's got torque for days, tons of wheel speed, and it handles itself pretty well in the air too. Yes, very nice. One thing I can definitely see, and I mentioned this in the bench portion of the review, was that this could be a great platform for a rally car. And if I'm honest, I think that's where this thing would really come alive. A little more full body, a little lower overall ride height. I think this thing could be a DRX VE killer, if I'm honest. Nice quality components though, definitely holding up, and it looks fantastic. Oof. It does really have that sort of like bashability. That's a really easy to qualify word. But just the sheer fun factor is very high. And lots of battery life. Looks great out there, if you can see it. I'm getting close to the end of the battery here, and this was a 5,000 milliamp hour 3S pack. But yeah, tons of fun. I love this thing. I honestly, as much as I love that Toyota body, I think this thing would be absolutely killer as a rally car. Here we go. Yeah. Like, see how, now that was probably not the best demonstration because you probably didn't see it, but when it gets in the air, it tends to sort of hunt around all that torque sort of makes it kind of fly around a bit more. But it does correct itself. There is no stability management system in this ESC or receiver. It's just straight user input, which makes for very interesting driving because it's lively. It is very lively. I like it though. I think it's a lot of fun. So glad I got a nice day. Whee! So what do you think of this? Is this something that you could see yourself getting? I'm certainly having a blast with it, and it's nice to have, you know, more of these sort of like accurate scale-looking bashers. This is definitely a market that I can see myself getting into pretty heavily. Is this something that you're going to pick up? If you are, put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to get Rebecca to answer as many of them as I can. So I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. And thanks to Kyosho USA for sending this my way so I could do this review. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.